Hi everyone, my name is Diane and this is My Pink Bathtub Knits. Welcome. Welcome if you're new and welcome if you are a returning subscriber. I appreciate you wanting to spend some of your time with me today. It is a balmy minus 32 degrees Celsius today. It has warmed up here in Manitoba. For those of you that don't know, I live in the center of Canada and we've had a bit of a cold snap. Not quite as cold as Alberta, which was in the minus 40s, but usually we end up getting the weather that they had not too long after they do. Got a lot of stuff to share with you today. It's a bit of a jam-packed episode. Let's start with what I'm wearing because I have finally finished my Advent sweater. I washed it. I blocked it, and what I mean by blocking is I didn't actually pin it because it did grow a little, but I'm very happy with it. It's a little bit bigger than what I would normally wear for myself, but it was a lot of fun to make. Wasn't a fan of weaving in those ends. Also, I don't know if stripes is the most flattering thing ever. I was blessed with a thin waist. And I found it a little big, but it fits really nice for what it is. This is a Gracious sweater. I'm going to link it below. It is a paid pattern on Ravelry, and it's kind of got me motivated to do some more knitting for myself. Now, I actually did find my technically first ever knitted sweater that I made for myself like more than a decade ago. I have never really worn it because I made it a little too tight under the arms. I don't know if I didn't add stitches. I mean, I can't even remember. So I think this week I'm going to launder it and try and block it and see if I can loosen that up because everywhere else it fits great. I just find, I thought it was too tight on the arms, but it's actually under the armpit that it's really tight. So we'll see how that goes. So this is number 1 of finished objects. The second one is almost finished, so I'm just going to show you anyways. Remember, I was making polar bear mittens, these things, and I've got one almost done. I just didn't finish the thumb. Oh my gosh. Now the thumb, I'm going to put the photo here for you. These were made with Barocco vintage chunky yarn. And I held it with mohair to give it a little bit of bougie bouge. And I have to tell you, they are so warm. And the funny thing is, like, I've only made this one once. This is kind of a new pattern for me. For those of you that don't know, I am a maker and I sell my knitting just in the fall at markets, just a couple of big markets. And I usually make mittens and I make toys. And I always make my mittens animal mittens because they're fun. I make them in adult and in children's size, and people do buy them. So if you're interested in seeing what else I make, I do have an Instagram account. What is I got like a bad zit or something going on there. Menopause. I do have it. Now it's getting redder now that I'm touching it, so we're going to ignore that. I do have an Instagram account, MyPinkBathtub, so go over and check it out. And it's funny because the person who I originally made these mittens for is named Kal Barteski. She is a local artist in the city of Winnipeg, and she had a pair gifted to her recently. Today on her story, she was wearing them. So I've had a bit of activity on my Instagram today because of that. I will link her Instagram below. She is an artist and she is famous for her script art, but as well as her polar bear art. So that's the reason about these mittens. This pattern is the Bella's mittens, which is from the Twilight movie. I shortened it and then I make them into various animals. It's also a free pattern on Ravelry. You ever make something and you're like, the universe doesn't want me to make this? I mean, I don't know what I ever did to them, but so I've got this McInness cardigan on my needles. I mean, it looks okay. I had a heck of a time getting gauge last episode, as some of you may know, and did some yarn math, and I thought I was pretty successful. So yes, this looks quite nice, doesn't it? So I have not spent a lot of time on this because I'm a little mad at it. I'm a little angry. I had to pull it all back and pretty much start over again because I forgot the first rule of knitting, which is always finish your row. So I guess I put it down. I saw something shiny and I went and did something. I came back, and because it's on a long circular needle, I picked it up and I started going in the opposite direction that I was supposed to go. Yeah. Didn't do this once. Didn't do this twice. I actually did this 3 times, and now I'm wondering about my abilities in general. And what am I doing here? I don't know. This is like, I was toting this as the world's simplest garment. I mean, go back and just watch the portion where I talk about the yarn math on this. I mean, it looks nice now, but I'm kind of mad at it. So it's just been sitting there for most of the week. It is something that's good to do just as TV knitting. And I will continue it because I am now stubborn. I am now going to get this done whether I want to or not. And I've decided I'm only going to work on one garment at a time, like something bigger, and I'm going to get this done. It's just made out of acrylic, the Heartland yarn. I'm still on the first ball, and look at this. Like I'm a hot mess on this, I tell you. And I think I'm already regretting the fact that I have to pick up hundreds of stitches to go around the collar, but I think it's going to be good practice for me, and it's really just a wear around the house kind of garment, and it's also a stash buster. So speaking of stash busters, I somehow found myself being in a mal without planning to be in a mal, but I chose to do this one because I had actually thought about this project, and I thought I'm going to do this and I need to deep dive into my stash for this, and I'm trying to be a little more mindful most of the time using my yarn that I currently own. And it's Chevirelle's Mel. And if you don't know who Chevirelle is, I mean, you're missing out. I'm going to link her below. I'm not expecting her to watch this, but it's not a Kal, it's a Mal. So I guess it's anything. And I know I'm going to loosely explain this and I'm going to make some mistakes, so I apologize. But she's doing a Mal. It's still open. So it's hashtag DSKAL23 if you want to get in on it. And it's about deep diving your stash and making a project that you've wanted to make for a while, perhaps that you haven't, with yarn that you've had for a long time. And I don't have the project here to show you because it has been sent to the recipient. I wasn't showing it on my channel because it was a bit of a surprise, but I can now tell you that it was for Rusty, Mama G Gear's daughter, and they did end up opening it on a live. So here is a video of what it is. It is a bacon scarf, and this sucker was over 6 feet long. This is it on the blocking pads because it's kind of like a feather fan pattern, and it's just a 4-row repeat pattern. Now I was making these out of mini versions of bacon strips for bacon bookmarks, and I have a tutorial that I'm going to link down below for that if you want to look at it. This is just the giant version of it. I'm also going to link the pattern that inspired me to do this. I finished it. She received it. Here are a couple very blurry pictures of her on her live wearing it. She loves it. And it's linked below the tutorial of the 4 repeat row pattern. It's very easy and fun to do. Still chance to get in the mail if you want. Again, I kind of fell into it. So I started a project and then I completed it the next day because I could not stop making it. And I love making toys. This is the Happy Scrappy teddy bear by Susan Claudino. So I I love the shape of him. I feel like I'm going to be making more in the future. And hello. He is going to be called the Bougie Bear because that's what he is, and he deserves that name. Rightfully so. I made him with my Tangled Poets minis that I was collecting. The pattern is a paid pattern. I'm going to put it below. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I really liked the way that this pattern was written. You essentially do the limbs first and the ears, and then you knit up the bear and you attach the limbs as you go along. It's meant to be a bit of a stash busting project. The yarn you use is meant to be held double, so you can do 2 fingering weight, 2 DK, 2 worsted, and I kind of wanted to do an inexpensive version of this, so I only used one of the Tangled Poets yarn with a very basic baby yarn, which is also a fingering weight, and this is just the Mary Maxim Twinkle. I have it in my stash. I bought it specifically for this to make these bears. And then I also used Diablo mohair from Hobie. Now, 1 cake of this, I was able to do the polar bear mittens and this guy. And this is how much I have left doing those 2 projects out of the 1 cake. I believe there's 246 yards of this. So I got to do 2 projects. So I put this all out. If you're not familiar with the Tangled Poet minis, they're a myriad of colors and they're all tiny little skeins. And I kind of wanted to keep like the same colors to kind of make him look somewhat cohesive. I didn't have any safety eyes, so I just put these big buttons on, and I think they're cute. And I held the 3 together to make this bear. I did make it a little bit of a bigger size needle, the 3.75 millimeter needle. Super cute pattern. I'm linking it below. It is a paid pattern on Ravelry, Susan Claudino. Other things I am working on before I show you my new project that I want to cast on is I'm just making some little toddler mittens. Now I have to start making mittens for my markets simply because I sell toddler mittens out like crazy. For some reason, I can't keep them in stock. I did a market and I had 30 pairs of them. They were gone within 2 hours. It's just insane. So I always tell myself, if you've got them, you're going to be able to sell them. So this is going to be an ongoing thing. The reason why I'm showing you this is because these are going to be kitten mittens. Now I do have a little tutorial on YouTube. I have a Learn to Knit playlist. I'm going to link the tutorial below to turn these into kitten mittens. It says how to make a pair of fox mittens, but the ears are exactly the same. So go over and check that out if that's something you're interested in doing. Here's an example of what the kitten mittens look like for the kid size. And this pattern is the Tin Can Knits World's Simplest Mitten Pattern. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. And the great thing about this pattern is you can make mittens in any size weight of yarn and in any size hand. They're just nice and simple and classic mittens. And I use these to turn them into animals for toddler and youth sizes. Another project I am going to be casting on, and I had a hard time thinking of what I wanted to make because I got to get this garment one done before I start another garment. That's my personal rule to myself. I'm going to make something out of this book that I've had for a while and I've never made anything. And the reason why I haven't made anything out of this book is simply because the items are knit flat and not in the round. And I don't like sewing up seams. Ever. But I'm willing to give this a go. I really love this book. It's called The Knitted Nursery collection from Weston. She's got an Instagram account. I find that lately she's had more stuff about fashion and wardrobe and sewing, but she is also a knitter. And I had a really hard time picking which one I wanted to do. But I've decided I want to try the elephant pattern. It is knit flat, so that's, as I said, not my biggest fun thing, but look at this butt. This in itself is worth making the pattern. So I'm going to give it a go. And I have been gravitating, as I said, more towards wool. So I'm going to use the Patons Classic Merino worsted yarn. This is cool gray. Cool gray for the body of the elephant, and then for the ears I'm going to use this color. It kind of has a touch of a blue tinge to it, the gray, and this color is called Ink Blot. I clearly tried doing something with it. So I'm going to get that on my needles this week, and we'll report back and see how that goes. And doing this project flat, which I pulled out these collage needles. I'm going to do them in 3.75 millimeters. And I want to try the collage square needles to see how they fit. Everybody raves about how they're so great on the hands. I usually use bamboo needles. So we're going to give this a try. I just got to make sure I turn it and finish the rows so I don't have that problem again. This is really silly, but I have started using these kind of needles with the bend in them, the wool needles, and I have to tell you, game changer. I've always just used straight wool needles, and for some reason, especially when you're knitting toys or little piddly things, it is a game changer. I have to tell you, I highly recommend them. I have not done anything with my cross stitch pattern this week except take it off the hoop. This is what I'm going to be making. I want to get back to it and do some work on it this week because I really enjoyed getting back into cross stitch. And Judy in Judy's Creations in Crochet had left a comment about taking it off the hoop. A nice, just gentle suggestion. She wasn't like, take that off the hoop. And I respect and value Judy's opinion because Judy used to own a cross stitch store and used to sell things like embroidery kits and cross stitch and all that stuff. So if anyone knows, Judy does. I don't normally use hoops. She said it's not good for the fabric or the floss. I guess it maybe overstretches it. So I took it off. I haven't done anything else with it, and I am planning to work on it this week. I am patiently waiting for my next yarn acquisition to come for the Canadian yarn series. We are still in British Columbia. It has shipped, so I'm hoping next week I can share it with you. And I have decided I am going to change the name of it because A, women's prerogative. B, it was called the Canadian Yarn of the Month. However, there may be more than one yarn. So, and C, everybody loves a road trip. So it's going to be called this going forward. So for those of you who are new, I am sweeping across this great nation of Canada and buying hand-dyed yarn from dyers that I have not purchased from before. I am still fairly new to the hand-dyed yarn game, and this is just not for Canadians. Americans are really going to benefit from this because of the dollar. Should we hop in the yarny car and go somewhere else? I mean, if we stay on the west coast of Canada, we can go north, my friends. We can go north. We can go up to the Yukon. So let's do that. Crux Fibers, my friends. I have never ordered from Crux Fibers. Had a great Boxing Day sale of 35% off. I had to go on there and check it out. Now, she is known for her locally sourced yarn. I just can't deal. And it's more untreated yarn, so it may be a little more toothy, but I saw this and you're going to have to apologize my hanking up because I couldn't. I ordered 2 skeins of DK weight, and it's 100% untreated blue-faced Leicester. I can't say that. This thing. It is worsted spun 3-ply, 115 grams, 224 meters, 245 yards, and it is spun in Canada with British wool, and the color is chaos. Like, this is just fantastic. I got 2. It's not as, I mean, I don't find it itchy, but I never find wool itchy. It has a little bit of a tooth to it, but nothing crazy. Let's put it on the ottoman and take a closer look. Now, this was shipped vacuum sealed. So if you order something vacuum sealed, it is taken out of the hank, hence the terrible look of the hank. And the air is sucked out and it is sent letter mail. So it was $4 Canadian to ship it to me. So that is a service that she offers. Usually can't do more than 2 hanks of yarn with that though, just so you know. But this is just gorgeous. I am obsessed with it. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to make myself a cowl and mitten set. Maybe a hat and a mitten set. I haven't decided yet. But it's just beautiful. I just love it. So it is not superwash, so it is hand-dyed yarn. You're going to have to cold water wash it and lay it flat to dry, but I am worth it. I'm worth it. We're going to head back down to British Columbia now, and next week we'll show the last of the BC yarn. Thanks for joining me today. Whatever projects you are working on, I hope you're enjoying them, whether it's knitting, crocheting, cross-stitching, weaving, spinning. Take care of yourself. I hope you're staying warm wherever you are in the world, and we're going to see you next Wednesday. Bye for now.